Welcome to the Grande Bouffe.
The Big Feast.
With myself, Cole Smithey, and my co-host, Mike Lacy. As always, we are here to copiously consume international culture and politics through the prism of a single film and a different craft beer every week. How are you doing, Mike?
I just had a weird thing for the first time. I was like, where's the music? Because we don't play it while we're recording. We put it in later.
I know, you put it in, so you're really used to it.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm real tired, and I got a secondary podcast about cats. Plug it right now, Cat Talk. Check it out. Coming up soon. But
Cat Talk. I want to know more about Cat Talk.
Cat Talk is a comedic podcast, which wherein we don't have a great log line like this one yet. I'll get back to you about the exact what the nature of Cat Talk is. It's the worst plug ever. But I'm exhausted. I told Cole I'm so tired that not only did I need to buy an energy drink, but I bought maybe the dumbest one I've ever seen, which is shout out to Mountain Dew Kickstart Energizing Strawberry Kiwi. It's here, I'll give them a great tagline. It's fine.
It looks fine.
It's fine.
It looks fine.
Yeah.
And Mountain Dew, I know it's, as far as soft drinks go, that one has 6 times the regular amount of caffeine. So
is that true?
It has a lot of caffeine.
Yeah, I'm interested in it switching from being like a hillbilly thing to like an extreme snowboarding thing. Like that's a real pivot in your marketing campaign. Good on them for pulling that one. What was it like when you were growing up back in the 30s? What was who was Mountain Dew advertised for?
I think it was just it was something. It was the cross between 7-Up and lemonade. I don't know. It was the other thing.
Was it real caffeinated?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. You could get Coke, or you could get Dr. Pepper, you could get 7-Up, or you could get Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew, I mean, it got, when I was growing up, it got outdone by things like Surge, which is like supposedly illegal by like the late 90s. But Mountain Dew was certainly like, it was like, hey man, you want a Mountain Dew?
What was the one that had tons? I mean, it was sold as having tons of caffeine.
I think it's Surge.
No. There's another one. There was another one.
The one with wine?
No. It was like all caffeine. My girlfriend and I at the time used to get up and drink a can of that stuff and watch Pee-wee's Playhouse every Saturday morning.
And Pee-wee's Playhouse was new when this came out.
Yeah, they were talking 80s. We're talking 80s. Mid 80s.
And it wasn't Surge.
No.
I'm just leaning on my I love the 80s knowledge at this point.
Yeah. My
you know what year I was born.
My memories. You were born in 1990?
Yeah. Literally not 1 second stepped into the 1980s.
1990. Wow.
The Reagan administration is an era of which I know nothing. Firsthand.
Well, that's better. What you missed, you're glad you missed.
I heard it was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome when I was going to San Diego State and Reagan came in and screwed up all the all of the money for the state California state schools, and people were protesting. And before it was, if you were a resident of California, it was at $600 a semester, and then it quadrupled, and who knows what the hell it is now.
All I know about Reagan is that he was like contrary to Iran or something like that. He was like anti-Iran. That's all I know.
Iran-Contra, is that what you're referencing there? That's pretty funny. All right, well, let's get down to a little bit of biz here, because we're drinking some brew. We've got this fancy green flash beer, and I should say that I had a little help from my wife in choosing this beer, because it was not an easy task to come up with a beer relevant to China, because China doesn't really have craft beer. They haven't started producing any kind of craft beer whatsoever. But
I don't know if that shows up on the Upper East Side, at least. I'm sure there's craft.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't happened yet. You can't get craft beer in France.
And you're not just gonna get a
France
Tsingtao
either. A what?
Tsingtao. Okay, let's get it out of our system. I guess we'll not have to delete that.
All right.
I was saying a real beer, and
I thought you were mumbling.
No, a Tsingtao is a real beer.
I think it's pronounced Tsingtao.
Okay, all right. Well, now, okay, which tones is it? If you're such an expert, if you're gonna call me out on it.
I don't pretend to be an expert about Chinese beer, but Sword of Destiny, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Sword of Destiny,
a Netflix original.
Right. Peter Berg is one of the executive producers. Did you notice that?
You know, Peter Berg hired me one time.
Did he really?
No, but I did get an email. I did get an email. That was
I can tell this podcast, we're going to take the yacht around the harbor.
Well, I don't have that many great things to say about this movie, so...
Well, yeah. I have a few kind things to say about it, but we'll get to that.
Do you want me to tell my Peter Berg story now?
Yes, I do.
Or should we
of course
save
I
it
do.
till Lone Survivor?
Tell.
So I got an email from Peter Berg, and as all famous director producers do, he listed his credits like right at the beginning of the email, which like raised a red flag to me because it's like either I know who he is or I don't, and he really wanted me to be his assistant, and it started getting a little weird, and he really wanted me to deliver a check for him, and it started getting weirder. And
did you meet him?
Nope, I had never met him. I just got an email out of the blue looking for me to work for him. But
how did he find you?
He said he received my resume as an application, and that time I had been sending a bunch of resumes for anything from like PA work to like being a producer. You know that when you're just blindly like maybe someone's dumb enough to think I'm qualified to do this.
Yeah.
Got this email back, and I was like desperate for it. And it's also like, you see a name like that in like I Love Friday Night Lights, and Peter Berg was like important, and you can just feel your critical thinking turn off. Or if I got that email and it said like, someone that I'm like not as excited to work for, I would have been like, well, this is clearly bullshit. But I had a friend who worked for Peter Berg, and I sent him this email. And I was going back and forth with this email address, and my friends sent it to someone who works for him, and he's like, "Peter's a weird guy, man." Like that was the response. So I was like, maybe I'm talking to Peter Berg. So they send me a check, and the check is from a clearly fake bank in Paramus, New Jersey.
Oh no!
And the idea is that I deposit it to my account, transfer it to like the orphan. I didn't do any of that. But I have this.
That's not the real Peter Berg.
No, of course not.
Oh my goodness.
The definitive thing was that description of.
But Peter Berg does have. There are some weird connotations that come to mind when you talk about Peter Berg.
I hear he's like an eccentric guy, so this was apparently not outside of the range of like his behavior. But what kind of gave it away was when he listed all of his movies that he had made, which like I don't think. Like famous filmmakers say like, "Hi, I'm Peter Berg. You may know me from like they're fucking Troy McClure from The Simpsons." But those movies I later looked up, it was copied and pasted from his Wikipedia.
All right. Okay. All right. I got to shut you down on your fake Peter Berg story. If it had some legitimacy, we could keep going.
I thought you were gonna say that was really Peter Berg. You blew a great opportunity.
Well, no, but I wanted, I was hoping.
Well, I think it's important to talk about fake knockoffs that aren't as good as the real thing, but are like
he did
chintzy sequels to 2000 to movies from the year 2000 that are pretty great.
He did direct the upcoming Deepwater Horizon, which is a film that I really hope that I never have to waste my time seeing.
Is it
right now? I think that there's. I think it's.
Is it Ben Affleck?
I think the coast is clear that I'm.
Is it Matt? Who's?
It's Matt Damon. I think. Is it? No. Who is it? I don't know.
I think it's Affleck.
Is it Affleck? Affleck. No, it's Mark Wahlberg.
Oh yeah, he's really like the mean between them. Like.
And of course, John Malkovich will just do anything for a big paycheck.
John Malkovich seems like he just had an article about how like his secret is that he turns down work all the time, and that he's like work very little, and I'm like, you're lying through your teeth.
Yeah,
like, you're in Deepwater Horizon.
Yeah. So all right, let's get down to brass tacks about some beer that we're drinking. So the Green Flash, which the Sword of Destiny, Green Destiny.
Of course.
Fits right in. And I do have a little story. Do you know what a green flash is, Mike? Where they get that name from?
No.
That is this phenomenon that occurs when you have a hard horizon and a really clear sky and the sun is setting. And just when the sun sets, right at that little split second, right when the sun disappears, you see this green flash.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I've seen it only once
in
Pismo, California with my wife a few years back. And so whenever we go to Pismo, we frequently spend a couple nights in Pismo when we're on Christmas vacation every year. And we've tried to catch it again and have not been so lucky. But
it's not a daily occurrence. It's
a rare thing. But to experience it, you know it when you see it, and it's very cool. So that's where this brewery got their name from. And so we are drinking the Treasure Chest, which is an IPA brewed with grapefruit juice, prickly pear juice, and hibiscus flowers. It certainly has a little floral notes going on. And it's only 5.7, so it's pretty light. I'll just read what it says on the bottle here. It says, "Raise a glass to find a cure." They brew this beer annually, and it says Green Flash co-founder and breast cancer survivor Lisa Hinckley began the Treasure Chest program in 2011 to support breast cancer charities in her hometown. Today, we are committed to brewing a forward farm. My eyesight's going. Brewing it forward from coast to coast as Treasure Chest makes its annual return. This fruit-forward IPA features mosaic hops enhanced by the addition of fresh grapefruit, balanced by prickly pear juice and hibiscus flower.
Well, Lisa Hinckley, you made quite a nice little beer. I like it a lot.
I like it, and it's got this cute little hula girl with the ukulele on there. Pretty cute.
That's nice. Lisa Hinckley, I don't even care if your brother tried to kill the president. This is a good beer.
And I should say that I purchased this fine beer at my favorite little local bottle shop, Noble Grains. And so shout out to Bora, who runs the shop. Very sweet little lady. And if you are up on the Upper East Side, it's located at 313 East 95th Street, which is pretty far down. It's between 1st Avenue and 2nd Avenue. But it's a very cute little store, and you go in there, and they've got great bottles of stuff to choose from. And when you pull your bottle off the shelf and take it over to the counter, miraculously, I don't know how she does it, but Bora has this system where she keeps the beers cold. So whatever you take off the shelf, she'll put a cold one in your hand. She'll trade it out for a cold one, which is a pretty nifty idea, I think.
Neat.
Yeah, it works every time.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. So shout out to Noble Grains on the Upper East Side.
We're doing everything we can to not talk about this movie. I mean, maybe it sounds like you liked it.
Well, no, I don't think we could put it off a little longer because here's what.
Tell me more about your local.
Here's what I was thinking, Mike. We've done this is episode 22 or 23, I don't know, and no one knows anything about how you and I met.
Oh yeah, so we were at a sex party. No.
You were holding a pineapple.
I was holding a pineapple and nothing but.
And balancing 3 kumquats on your nose.
Yeah, and all pun intended. We're still reeling. Cole and I realized that my mom listened to the last podcast on the movie Crash.
We're both duly embarrassed.
Yeah, I was telling Cole, my mom. Shout out to my mom. Hey, mom. My mom's very cool. It's not as awkward. It's kind of more awkward in theory. We saw the Aristocrats in theaters together, and it was chill. But still, it's just kind of wish that I didn't know that she heard me and or Cole say the word butthole
and eating ass.
All right,
there it goes again. Yeah, man, now it's happened twice.
Now it's fully hitting me. Because she definitely heard that. Okay. So do we have more housekeeping?
Well, no, but I mean,
how did we met? Sorry, sorry. I was working at the Cannes Film Festival, and as the was doing videography for the American Pavilion, and Cole is a longtime attender of the festival as a critic.
Oui, monsieur. Attendee.
Yeah, I think we were introduced through who is now our mutual friend, Emma Griffiths, of the wonderful Emma Griffiths PR.
That's right, publicist who has been for the past, I don't know how many years, few years anyway. She leads the team at the American Pavilion.
Yeah, she kicks ass there. She really does a great job, and
she does. She really sets a good atmosphere. You know, she makes a big difference. It's interesting how a person can do stuff like, you know, just having the right person there to set the tone for something, you know, for a place like that. It's pretty cool.
She's real heavily involved in Eastern cinema and getting this PR over here. Yeah, I would love her take on this, because this seems to have been this an interesting project where this was a collaboration, in my understanding, between a U.S. production and a Chinese production, and they split the difference in a weird way. Whereas the first iteration of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which was directed by Ang Lee, which was
the great Ang Lee,
was probably his big introduction to Western audiences.
Yeah, that was his breakout movie for sure.
So one thing that's interestingly different is that movie the original was filmed in Mandarin and then subtitled and or dubbed into English, whereas this one was filmed in English and then dubbed into Mandarin.
Okay.
Which I think is indicative of some of the differences in maybe even like intentions behind the making of these movies.
Yeah, I think that, you know, it's very clear that they're trying to get this crossover audience by making it in English, and it oddly it just doesn't work. You want it to work, and it almost works, but it just doesn't quite work.
And I think that dubbing thing, I think what they feel is that Western audiences, you really got to give them something special for them to watch the subtitled or dubbed thing on any massive scale, where like what we would call foreign audiences are more willing to put up with it. Even a movie set in like 18th century China with all Chinese actors. Well, actually, I don't know if they're all Chinese, but all like actors of Asian descent. I suppose they think that they're more willing to sit through a dubbed film than a Western audience.
Yeah, and in all fairness, you know, I thought that the cinematography was beautiful in this movie. I think the lighting is really beautiful in this movie, and it's really fun to see Michelle Yeoh in anything. I wish that Ang Lee had directed this film a year or two after he did the first one. I think
it's a long. They call these like a long gap sequel, and it is a long.
It's
gap.
too long. It's just too long.
They set it actually, I think 18 years after the original. And I was like, "What? That's a bizarre length." And then I realized that the first one came out 15 years before this one, which makes me feel old, to be honest, because I have a very clear memory of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
So you have seen the first one?
I have seen the first one.
When did you see it?
I saw it not that long after it came out. Probably it was. It might have been
when you were 4.
When I was 4 years old in 2000. It really might have been one of the first DVDs we ever bought. And I remember it was like a big deal watching it, and that movie is kind of special to me, and like in its grandeur, and I think it is very interesting in revealing this sort of secret sect of people that have like this training and these abilities in society. And I was rewatching a little bit of today, and the original takes some time in showing you this like the skills, and it also like
and the fantasy elements.
It grounds you in reality, and then shows you people who have this ability to like supersede gravity, basically. Whereas the sequel, I think, leaves out some of the best components of the first one, where you just got people fucking jumping around and like slashing like left and right.
It's directed by Wo Ping Young, who directed Drunken Master, and
I like that movie.
I like Drunken Master a lot too. So he's been around a long time, but I think that his orders for what to do with this film were pretty straightforward. That they wanted a lot of action, and they wanted a lot of swordplay and a lot of people flying. There's what do they call it? They call it light walking or something.
Yeah, there's a word in this world for what they're doing.
For what they're doing.
Which is good, because like I feel like we would come up with a name for like that thing that only some people can do, or they're like flying. You know?
Right. It's a ninja tactic. It's a ninja technique.
Yeah, it's just like a tactic. It's just like something that like you learn from a certain school.
And it also is, it's a different, the format, the storytelling format is very Eastern, and I think that Ang Lee had such a light touch with it. The original Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon has so much there's so much lyricism to the storytelling, to the visuals. He creates this visual poetry that is absent here.
I really feel like the first one is a lot stronger in I totally like I might have totally forgot what I was saying. I just like the first one a lot more. What's evident in this one is that you have all these like allusions to these relationships between people, and like names keep getting dropped, and I have no idea why I should care about all of these this subtext. And I'm wondering, like, is this just a different way of storytelling, or is this just kind of like garbage storytelling?
Yeah, I think that Western audiences have a hard time with this, with Eastern storytelling to begin with. The Assassin was at Cannes when we were there in 2015, and I kept hearing people say and seeing it written that the storyline was indecipherable. And it wasn't at all. I mean, it's pretty straightforward to me. I looked at it and I thought, yeah, it seems pretty straightforward to me. But I think that Western audiences have a hard time because there's a lot of
I didn't see
there's a lot of kind of folkloric mythology that goes into this format of storytelling, and it goes back hundreds of years, but it's not hundreds of Western years.
Yeah. So like the cultural context is clearly like very important. And like there is, even just in like filming, I know just such a long, like these are their Westerns basically. Like, does that seem right? That like they're constantly making films set in like these dynastic eras, like like how, in the UK they have like things set in like manors, like in production constantly. So I'm sure there's like a rich context that they're pulling these from. One little like trope that I dug was the like character introducing, looking virtually straight in the camera and just like saying your name and like where you're famous.
Oh, I love that part.
And I'm just
I love that part.
You know what? That's what New York is like.
Yeah.
It's like, hi, my name is Mike, and I was a big deal where I came from.
That's right. Yeah, because it's true. New York is like that. If you're from the Bronx, you got that Bronx accent, and people know. When you walk in the room, hey, it's Mike from the Bronx.
Yeah.
Or, it's Charlie from the Lower East Side.
You might not know his comedy, but in Chicago, he was like a really big deal.
So Michelle Yeoh, I could look at her all day. I think she's a very gifted actress, and she's got so much charisma. And the Sword of Destiny is a pretty badass sword. The stuff with the color and the colors in this movie is great, and it's a good looking sword with the jade.
That sword is the most MacGuffin-y fucking MacGuffin I've ever seen.
Oh, there's no question. Yeah, well, it's in the title.
Okay, so I forgot
MacGuffin. You gotta trademark that one, Mike.
MacGuffiniest MacGuffin. I forgot that like the plot of the first movie is like this sword goes missing and you gotta get it. And I rewatched.
Hey, and that's the plot of this one.
Yeah, it's almost like they spent not a lot of time. This was based on
the Green Destiny is the name of the sword, and hence the beer that we're drinking, the Green Flash.
The Green Flash
treasure chest. And this sword, when we first see it, does sit in a chest,
in a literal treasure chest. Yeah. So I forgot that in the first movie, it was about recovering that sword, and then in rewatching some of it, it is certainly more clearly the MacGuffin. And MacGuffin, if you're not familiar, and like Cole, like jump in when I botch this definition, but basically like the device, usually a specific object that's ostensibly motivating the plot.
Yeah, think of the Maltese Falcon. That's a classic one.
Yeah,
That's one of the first. It's
and you watch
really
that movie,
really clear.
and you don't like give a shit about the Maltese Falcon. It's just something where like the relationships that you do care about are like it's the reason for their conflict and existence, and you're really into the people around it.
And there's something mysterious about it. And certainly, if it's called the Maltese Falcon, it sounds weird. What's that? It's got some mystery to it.
I assume it's chocolate.
Dark, extra dark, extra cocoa chocolate.
There's the guy from Jamie from Mythbusters did a whole thing where he reproduced exactly as perfectly a Maltese Falcon, and it's extremely difficult apparently to get that color of black.
Oh, really?
And the best way
it looks like licorice.
The best way to do it is over 100 coats, or I'm just making up that number, but it's like just coat after coat after coat of matte spray paint.
Huh.
Like there's nothing else that really like approximate. Anyway.
Or tar.
Yeah. In the first Crouching Tiger movie, yeah, the sword is like a good MacGuffin, and like it's a reason everyone's fighting, but you're interested in the relationship and what's going on. In the second movie, it's like, first of all, if this sword basically like is like the Allspark from Transformers, like now it's really been like upped into being like super, like you can.
But it can only be used in the right hands. It reminds me of what's the sword, the Excalibur. It really is part and parcel to the Excalibur myth.
So I mean, if it's such a scary thing, why are you just putting it in a fucking box in a dead dude's apartment? You know what I mean? Like they are not taking, like everyone's like, yeah, this is a very important sword. Yeah, you can control the whole like empire.
You have to protect it. Who's gonna protect it?
Where do you keep it? Like, we just put it in a box. Like, why aren't you hiding it? Like, the guy kind of wanted to see it when he's getting old, so we just leave it in this box. It's like, you're asking for them some shit to go down.
I like, one of my favorite stupid things of this movie though is the poor guy who's trying to steal the sword, and the sword fight that happens when he's trying to, or the battle that happens when he's trying to steal the sword, where all of the big vases are tipping.
This is the guy who gets in the cage.
Yeah, he gets in the cage. The cage is like him being in the middle of the courtyard in the cage, flirting with the girl who's training, studying under.
Those two are real
Michelle
cute.
Yeoh.
I hope they're on like police procedurals in China. Like they're adorable. I like those guys.
Yeah, and I just like how they stick him in the cage in the middle of the courtyard, and that's how it is. That's what we do here.
I like that. I guess I'm gonna give a spoiler away. I don't care. I like that you're like, ooh, what's this romance between them? And then it's like they're basically siblings.
Oh yeah, it goes a little awry. Yeah,
I was like, cool.
So, Donnie Yen is in the film, and he's great. I love,
he's a big deal in martial arts.
Huge deal. But he's getting old. You can see, he's getting the crow's feet around his eyes.
And so he's the Chow Yun Fat character in this movie.
Is, right. He's right. Everybody's got their corollary character.
Yeah. So like that's the thing is like Michelle Yeoh's like they refer to her relationship with Chow Yun Fat's character from the.
Whatever happened to Chow Yun Fat? I miss him.
Bulletproof Monk.
The Replacement Killers. You ever seen that one?
Oh, this mate. What's the Replacement Killers?
With Mira Sorvino and Chow Yun Fat.
Ooh, would this have been like 2002? Like, what is that?
Yeah, I think you're kind of in the ballpark, maybe a little earlier. Let me just look.
Early 2000s movies, I can usually guess like right on the nose what
really
were made. Yeah.
Why is that?
I was just the most sad, like watching a lot of TV and like
1998.
So Chow Yun Fat, what was his big introduction? Was he
and Mira Sorvino is great in that. I miss Mira Sorvino. And it was directed by Antoine Fuqua.
Okay, all right. I feel real crap. I just bragged about my year guessing thing and I got it way wrong. Was Chow Yun Fat in Anna and the King with Jodie Foster?
Yes.
Yeah. What was his?
I think so.
Was that his like introduction into Western movies?
That's a good question. I don't know offhand.
I remember Anna and the King well for some reason.
I don't think I ever saw it.
I don't think it was like what's the word? Good. But it like I had an affinity for the King and I
have a confession though. I really have this desire, and I suppress it, but I really have this desire to just
to kill someone in Jodie Foster's name.
No, to do another episode about David Cronenberg's Crash.
Just do another.
I just want to talk about Crash and talk about Crash.
I'm down. Like, honestly, watching one movie a week is a pain in the ass for me. If we could just do Crash every week.
Well, no. Okay,
see, we have a real lack of conceit in a way that sticks through the noise on iTunes. If we just watch Crash every week and just see what happened to us. You know, we both buy cars all of a sudden. And
hey, at least we didn't paint ourselves into a corner like those guys at the Cannon.
Oh, with what's in and what's out. Shots fired.
Oh,
Hollywood Reporter, write us up on this.
So here's here's my idea. Instead of doing Crash part 2, I think we should do Crush.
Blue Crush?
Nope. And see, I knew you were gonna.
I knew I was gonna.
I knew you were gonna go there with that.
You know my word association. Style of humor.
Well, I think that I think that Crush has been so overused as a film title. Just like Crash, there's 2 movies called Crash.
I don't really know Crush. What is Crush?
Well,
have we totally given up on?
I'm so glad you asked. Crush is it's a New Zealand film by Alison McLean. New Zealand filmmaker, and it was in competition in Cannes the first time that I was there. Reservoir Dogs was one of the films.
What year was this?
1992.
Wow, great year.
When you were 2 years old.
Great year.
And it was a very affecting movie. I guess it didn't get released until 93, but let me just make sure that I'm right about this. But Alison McLean, very interesting. No, it was 92. Very interesting film. See, there's so many movies called Crush and The Crush, and it's anyway. But maybe we should do that.
We're just leaving this movie in the dust. Okay.
I think that
I got some stuff to bring up about this movie.
All right, listen. I want to talk about things that I liked about the movie because I did. Yeah. There are some things that I liked about it.
I came in with this like guns blazing, and I picked this movie.
Yeah. Thank you for running up to that. I appreciated the thematic thread about enlightenment. I really liked that part of it. It's there if you hear it when it
I just feel like it hits you over the head hard. Whereas the first one, I was watching the first one, and like. True. And Chow Fat is talking about like in like the first scene he's talking about being a monk and trying to be enlightened, and he has an experience and something comes into realization, and Michelle Yeoh is like, and you were enlightened, and he's like, no,
right,
and like that's fucking cool. And then this is just like fucking like it felt very 300-y. What is the name of the martial arts celebrity that you were speaking of who
directed it?
No, the actor who was in it.
Oh, Donnie Yen.
Yeah, Donnie Yen. So I read that he in this movie, the second Crouching Tiger, Sword of Destiny, improvised a lot, like all of the fighting.
What?
And I'm like, what the fuck does
You're kidding.
Well, it's what it said, and I think that's like the Chinese version of doing your own stunts. Like that's just a lie you tell.
That just seems counterintuitive considering that it's a martial arts choreographer who's the director.
And it's also like, and all of those stunts were like half CGI. Like you can't like be on set and like, yo, what if I did like 7 backflips and jumped 80 feet up this pagoda? Like what is I think improvising mean at that
point? I have to. Take a little, because I know you always watch everything on a 3x2 screen.
Oh, no way.
And so I think that that's part of your problem. I think that there's a lot to enjoy in this movie visually, and that kind of acrobatic stuff. The ice,
that was cool.
Fight on the
that
ice.
That was cool. That was a nice set piece.
That's the best. That was a nice set piece. And you see these set pieces. One common trope is they'll always have a fight in the rain. It'll be just pouring rain, and so the slow mo, and you see the water flying off of their skin, and everything just looks gorgeous. And so they have this really great fight scene between 3 rivals. Well, it was 2 against 1, and the ice is breaking, and they're jumping, and there's one great bit where he's kicking the big shards of ice as they're breaking, and the big shards are flying. It's beautiful. I mean, it really is great spectacle. And there's a lot to be said for spectacle. And this movie has some very impressive spectacle.
I just have a tough time caring about action if I don't have any attachment to the characters.
I hear you.
And I love action when I do, like when you ground it well in reality, both it's just speaking of the physics, like I thought the physics were all over the place with this. Like they were kind of like these Incredible Hulk movies where sometimes he's 40 feet tall and sometimes he's 12 feet tall. The actual like physics of the world were unclear to me, and it's much clear in the first one where people are doing things that humans can't really do, but there's consistency to it so that there's tension in it.
Well, I also think it's that the Ang Lee touch, because there's
who also fucked up a Incredible Hulk movie now that I'm thinking about it, but yeah.
And the Ice Storm, which is also a beautiful Ang Lee film, but where they're the treetops, where they're jumping on the treetops.
That's one of the most that is such an iconic.
It's so iconic and so beautiful. Yeah. So,
and there was stuff that was like as neat in theory about this, but what a difference 15 years makes in terms of, be it CGI, being overwhelmed by these types of images, or they just don't. I thought this movie was kind of plastered over with a certain CGI-ness, where I think what they try to do is that they know that the special effects are going to stand out from the other elements on screen. So they just wash the whole movie over with like these sort of like painterly filters, and so it all looks the same.
All right, I think that I have gotten to the root of the issue, and we will now tear the head out by the root. And his name is John Fusco. He's the screenwriter. He's an American screenwriter who made, and I love this word, he made the film Hidalgo.
Oh, Hidalgo.
Viggo
Mortensen's... that Viggo Mortensen vehicle?
I just can't say Hidalgo enough.
Hidalgo. Oh, so, I didn't even mean to say it like that. It really comes out weird.
It does, yeah. So Hidalgo. It's almost, it's better than Guillermo. Anyway, so you got an American script. We've outed the problem with this movie. It's written by an American. Come on, are you kidding?
Well, that's something I was wondering.
Are you kidding?
The dialogue was so weird. Like the dialogue was like rusty Bible translations, and so I wondered, like, was it? So it is based though on a novel by the same author as what the original movie was based on, Crouching Tiger,
right. But you got a screenplay written by an American guy.
Yeah. All right, so that's why it sounds like a kind of Google Translate thing.
Okay, so here's the thing that I always grapple with is as a critic is, when you're watching a movie, does it achieve what the filmmakers set out to achieve? And I would say no, it doesn't. But I think that I know where this movie does work, and I think it's as an art installation piece. I think if you could just have this movie playing on a big screen, you could have it at a party, it could be at a rave, you could have this movie, 60 by 40, whatever.
I guess the way of saying, like, there's some cool GIFs. Let me translate that into 2016. There's some good GIFs in it.
No, see, I think that you're gonna have to alter your screening techniques, because I
watched this on my big computer at home.
How big is your computer at home?
It's 21 inches.
Yeah.
I mean, I also watched the original Crouching Tiger and was much more compelled looking at those.
No question. No question.
And I really have like a bone to pick with things that are heavily digitally color corrected and CGI'd, and you're just staring at a universe which is like kind of more cartoon than not. Like, I was really struck going back and looking at the original one, and it looks like film. It was clearly shot on film.
Right.
And they're clearly using wires, and these are practical special effects. Like, it's a year after the Matrix, and like using that like mixed format of wire effects with as much like CGI as you can do, but still far more practical than anything we normally see.
But you'll never see movies made like that again.
No.
That's just
but
the nature of technology.
What's strange is I don't know if I understand the economics of it because, like, CGI is usually per minute so much more expensive, you know? But there's...
But it's quicker. It's a lot quicker.
That may be it.
Yeah. It's much more expedient.
Yeah.
So I think you get more bang for your buck in the long run.
So, Cole, you've seen a few of these Netflix original movies. Do you have any assessment thus far of their production, or I kind of feel like they're hit and miss.
I think they're totally hit or miss.
Like one thing that I've heard about Netflix that I think rings true is they are very brandless in what they make. Like I've seen a lot of Netflix shows at this point,
right?
And they don't feel like the same people are making them at all.
Yeah, I don't know how they're putting it together. I was reading in Variety today that Netflix is planning in the next few years to have their goal is to have half of their content, 50% of their content will be original content. So they have a lot of money to burn, and they're burning it. And
isn't it wild that $8 a month times however millions of people?
Didn't it go up? I think it went up recently, right? Didn't it go up to like 9 something?
I think it may be.
Yeah.
My friend still gets the DVDs.
I get the DVDs.
You get the DVDs?
Yeah.
My friend, and so he's been getting these weird letters where I think he's technically grandfathered in at this price. I think he's spending like $6.50 a month and getting DVDs. And so they're just sending him these letters, like basically like asking him to pay more money. Like
begging letters.
Yeah, they're like,
please.
Hey man, hey, look, dude, like, we said that when things were really different, but like, you know what a stamp costs these days? Like, we really appreciate it.
All right, Mike. So do you have any housekeeping words of wisdom for our listeners?
Please hit us up on social media, engage with us, ask us to watch a movie that you think would be beneficial, or engage with our posts. Like us on Facebook. Please review us on iTunes. We're also available on Stitcher for everyone who's ditching their iPhone with this lack of headphone crap coming out on your and
follow us on SoundCloud.
Follow us on SoundCloud, and we'll follow you back. That's a little secret I got for you. You follow us, we'll follow you.
Hallelujah. Thank you all very much for listening. This has been Cole Smithey with Mike Lacy. Remember to turn your cell phones off when you're walking, driving, or watching a movie.